what's up everyone, my name is Jeff, and today we're going to have some fun playing Magic, and today we are playing in Standard 2022 with Skeletal Swarming. So it's a 5-mana enchantment. Each skeleton you control has Trample, attacks each combat if able, and gets plus O, where X is the number of skeletons that you control. So this is a really busted card, just that effect by itself. And at the beginning of your end step, create a tapped 1/1 black skeleton creature, and if a creature died this turn, then create 2 of those instead. So we get to actually make skeletons with this as well, so it gets bigger. This is basically a Craterhoof behemoth for skeletons, and it's an ongoing Craterhoof behemoth, which is actually really powerful. You do have to attack each turn if able, which is the biggest downside of this deck, of this card, but everything else is sweet. And so I'm a big fan of this card. I think it's really cool, and you can have a Craterhoof behemoth on turn 5 without having to ramp up like crazy or do whatever. You can just have that effect on turn 5, but it does require that you play skeletons, and that is the biggest issue, is that there are just no good skeletons. We have Mospit Skeleton, which we're playing for because it's what we got, and Sanitarium Skeleton, which does come back from the graveyard, so that's at least decent. You know, a one mana 1/2 is not terrible stats, but it's nothing amazing. But we do have changelings, and changelings are pretty sweet. So Realmwalkers, Bloodline Pretenders, Guardian Gladewalker, and Masked Vandal. The effects we have, we don't really care for necessarily. Putting the plus and cousin counter does work with Mospit Skeleton to bring it back from the graveyard into your hand. But the real one that we care about is Realmwalkers and Bloodline Pretenders. Those effects actually are really good, and Bloodline Pretender becomes the most powerful card in our deck, most powerful skeleton, because we keep having other skeletons enter the battlefield, and those can put tons and tons of counters onto Bloodline Pretenders, which can be really big, and means that even if they do have chump blockers and can kill our skeletons, where we have to rebuild to get up to big enough skeletons to go through, this usually hits hard enough that they can't do that. And that is what I found that this deck really needed, and it is sweet. And so we also have Death-Priest Myrkul. I can spell right. I know how to read clearly. 4 mana 2/2. Skeletons get +1/+1, and if a creature died this turn, you can pay 1 at the end of turn to get another skeleton. So I like it. This deck is fun. Let's go ahead and dive into the gameplay, see how it does for us, and wish me luck. Here we go. All right, up against Emisizzle, and I would like to have 1s and 2-drops, but we have Skeletal Swarming, we have Bloodline Pretender. I'm going to go ahead and keep this. This is a pretty good thing to play on turn 3, and having an extra isn't the worst. So we'll try it out, and hopefully we can find the lands to get up to Skeletal Swarming quickly. Soulmender. There's a forest. Alright, not a 2-drop, but lands are good. Life gain is actually going to be, that's a harder deck for us to match up against, just because we need to be able to do lots of damage to them quickly. But if they have tons of life, it doesn't really feel the same. Bloodline Pretender, and put it on Skeleton. Pass turn. Okay, Trellisara. So we actually might want to play Skeletal Swarming after combat here. I think I am going to play out a Bloodline Pretender, because they're going to be having massive creatures as well. This actually becomes a really difficult matchup for us, because they'll have a massive creature. Even though we have tons of toughness, they can actually block something each turn. Our Bloodline Pretenders, I do think will be able to get past that at some point. So throw this out on skeletons. So we do get the swarming on the next turn, so no attacks past the turn. We get to at least get 1 skeleton at the end step, even if nothing dies. So we have to make sure we play it on the second main phase on this next turn. That's a lot of life gain. Yikes. Man, this Trellisara is going to be massive. And the hard part is we have to be able to still defend at least a little bit. Yeah, this ain't great, guys. Bad things are happening. Yeah, and the ability to describe with Trellisara is actually a really big deal. Just they always have good hits as long as they have enough triggers. Which is, I think the rule is like 4 scries is the equivalent of drawing a card to an extent, but like 10 is still the same. Yeah, I think we say no blocks this time. We take 1,000,000. We probably just need more defenders. Okay, play out Swamp. I could play Bloodline Pretender and a Gladewalker this turn and hold off for a little bit. We definitely don't want to attack in with these guys right now, and so we're going to go ahead and say no attacks, play out Swarming. Get some counters on these guys, pass the turn. Now we have to chump with one of these. But we might be able to kill a Hollow Priest. No, we're not. We don't get to kill a Hollow Priest anymore. Yeah, they just had everything. We kept a hand that only had a 3-drop to play, and it never got any better. And they just went off and turned 1 through 3, and we did not. So that's nice. Yeah, I don't think we can beat this. Yeah, we're gonna say no blocks. If we had played out the other creatures, we at least would have had chump blockers, but we would have been in the same place on the next turns. And so I could have blocked here, played out Bloodline Pretenders and Gladewalker on the next turn, swing in with this guy, create 2 more skeletons, but we would have been dead on the next turn after that. So it's all good. All right, up against Dark Chris, and keep this hand. I like it. So yeah, Masked Skeleton, if it's kicked, enters with 3+1 encounters. Whenever 1 or more plus encounters are put onto a creature you control, it is returned from, if it's in your graveyard, put it in top of your library. So on top of your library, not quite as good as other stuff. I think we need more black mana in general, so put this on black, pass the turn. Neverwinter Dryad. Yeah, and so the plus encounters works really well with Bloodline Pretenders, and those get counters, as well as the Guardian Gladewalker, which also put counters onto things. So if these are in the graveyard, we should be able to put them on top of the library anytime. I'm not sure we want to do that, but if we already have other stuff, kicking this isn't the worst play. It's at least a 5/5, you know? And with Skeletal Swarming, that can be a really good thing. You're looking at that and like, why would someone play that? They do have the ability to ramp here. All right, so we threw out the swamp, Bloodline Pretender on Skeleton. We'll go ahead and swing in, even though we know they're just going to sacrifice this. Make him do it. Yeah, sacrifices. I forgot when I was playing Neverwinter Dryad before that this enters untapped. The forest does enter untapped, which does make this a much better card. At the same time, though, it takes up 2 turns to make it useful. Ramping like that is a pretty good thing, but I'm not sure it's good enough. I'm still in between with this card. Binding of Little Gods. Rude. Alright, well, let's go Lair of the Hydra, Masked Vandal, Destroy Binding, play Skeletal. Unfortunately, we're not leaving up much stuff for Pretender, but that's fine. If we do find the Skeletal Swarming off the top here, now we're in really great shape. Yeah, there's their own swarming. Yay. Okay, we need to make sure we have a blocker, so this is actually perfect. So yeah, Bloodline Pretender on Skeleton. Gladewalker. Let's put the counter on 2. This is already going to be a thing they're targeting with other removal. So let's go ahead and put it onto this skeleton. Okay, down to 13, pass the turn. So yeah, this is the different take on it. Theirs is ramp up to Skeletal Swarm and get it out as quick as possible. Ours is play things like Bloodline Pretender instead, which I think is actually more powerful but situational. Theirs could probably handle different decks than ours can, and probably more decks than ours can, but ours is going to be super aggressive. This is a turn 5 potential win. And so it's just a different type of deck completely, but I think it's fun. So they have to attack in with their skeleton. I probably should have put the counter onto the Bloodline Pretender to make it a little bit more difficult to kill, but I was just worried that they had a... Oh man, Masked Vandal would have been really nice to kill with this. So if I kill this, they get 4 now instead of 3, so no blocks. Come on, Skeletal Swarming. Man. Alright, play out this. We can make a 3/3 Hydra. We have 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11, 12. We're not just dead. I could hold back a Gladewalker to block with too, so we can just protect. Actually, it has trample anyway. So yeah, I think we just go for as much damage as we can. And just hope they don't have any way to kill us on the next turn. All right, attack in. Here we go. Down to 1. Pass the turn. You might be running something like Pump the Forbidden as well, so this does kind of eliminate those cards where they might have been able to at least like try to sacrifice 1 to get more skeletons on the end step. But right now we're not dead. Down to 4. And they have a whole board they have to deal with, and even if they are playing things like ritual cooling, a cooling ritual, they won't have blood. Wow. Okay then. Actually, wait. Guess what? These are also crabs. How about that? Haha. Yep. So Crippling Fear does not work with these guys, and so boom, bam. Let's go. Also, Lair of the Hydra would have been fine. So swing in, and that's game. Nice. Yes. Awesome. All right, up against Craven Ire and Village Rites with Skeleton. We'll keep this. That probably is what we're going to go for, is the Village Rites pretty soon. We need to draw into other things. Javeliner. Alright, let's say no blocks. Let's throw this out on... I think we actually want more black mana, because that's everything that we've got. So, do I want to kill this? I'm not sure it's actually worthwhile. There's a lot of other 2-drop things we want to kill. Let's go ahead and... They have lots of hasty things, so let's go ahead and kill this. Let's just pass the turn, not deal damage right now. I want to be able to block and then Village Rites, but I do think we try to Village Rites here, because on the next turn we can at least bring it back to hand, is the worst case thing if we don't find any other things to play. Now I wish I'd had that for this, because that is their best card. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and Village Rites. We need more stuff. Okay, throw this out on green. Gladewalker or Masked Vandal? I think it's Masked Vandal, because it can actually kind of block here. And pass the turn. Death-Priest, unfortunately, even though these guys are skeletons, vampires, and zombies, it only gets +1/+1 because the effect only gives +1/+1, even to all of them. But it would be really cool if this gave it +3/+3. I actually think it would be really fun if they had something like that at some point. Okay, pass to my turn. Lair of the Hydra. Okay, throw this out on... I think we play green. We'll go Death-Priest. Just because we can start making more skeletons in the coming turns. This becomes a little bit better blocker. No attacks, pass the turn. So 4 mana means that we can replay this. 3 mana to bring it to hand, 1 mana to play it out. Goblins get a buff. They must have some sort of way to kill this. I don't think they would attack in with that just like that. Maybe they have a way to kill this. If they have a way to kill the Death-Priest, then I actually would rather go like this. If they have a Frostbite, this dies, we get in a lot of trouble. We'll go ahead and go like that. Yeah, they had it. Okay. I should just assume and try to block the best way possible, but you never know. Alright, this can block a Battlecry Goblin, so we play this out over this guy. Pass the turn. We do need to draw better stuff at some point here. Oh, yikes. Alright, gives everything above. Now gives everything above. Yep. We need to actually block and kill here, but we also need to find some sort of answer, so we're going to go ahead and go off with this. Yeah, just nothing. All right, cool. And done. Sounds great. Out against Malcatraz, and only 2 lands. Bloodline Pretender in this hand, which is nice if we find another land, but I think we need a mulligan. This is a little bit better. Keep this, we'll drop... Village Rites really doesn't do anything right now. It feels wrong to drop that and keep these, but it is the most useless card in the hand at the time, where these are still the things we want to get up to, and having multiples is really good. Okay, pass the turn. Druid class. Nice, great land draw there. Show this off, Realmwalker and Skeleton. So we're looking for skeletons we can play for the next turn to make sure that we hit our 5th land. What is Druid class again? So yeah, whenever a land is about a field, gain 1 life, you can play additional lands each turn. That's actually a pretty cool play, that you can play this on turn 2, play a land, use this, and then play another land. Lots of life gain potential with it. All right, so we want to play out Moss Pit, Skeleton first. Try to find the land off the top. Didn't find it, but we're closer. That's good. I guess we put this here, swing in, keep the life total a little bit lower. Down to 17, pass the turn. I mean, Lord isn't the worst with what we have on board. Land would be better, but it's not the worst. We definitely still need to find that land, so whatever we see on top, try to play out creatures as much as possible. Priest. Still hasn't found a land? Okay. Okay, Masked Vandal. Okay, there's the land. We found a land. Good. Good stuff. Don't really want to trade off with anything necessarily. So, pass the turn. Land off the top, Skeletal Swarming. Start going crazy. Okay, Prosperous Innkeeper. I do think that it may be better to have something like Prosperous Innkeeper in this deck. But I'm not sure if it's better than going over. I think that ramping up to Skeletal Swarming, having the consistency there, is actually really, really good. I'm not sure what all that should take, though. All right, play this out. Play Swarming. And that's a lot of damage. They're going to have to block a lot of it. They do have the ability to block well, but everything has trample, so anything they soak up in general is good enough. So I believe with Skeletal Swarming that they stack, because everything gets plus X plus O, and so they'll get plus X plus O again. Anything that dies, we're going to make 2 more skeletons here, so they have to kill at least 3 to be able to be above the standard there on that. And lethal, that's right, yeah, because trample. So, sweet stuff. I like it. Up against Tofu X, and we will keep this hand, absolutely. Realmwalker is one of our best cards by far, and we have the mana to get up to it. We have Skeletal Swarming. This is good. Having some things to be doing in the early game, great. This is kind of hard. It's with most other decks, I would be a little bit more worried about hands like these, where like you want to have really good ones and 2-drops. But when we know the only good cards we have is like our 3-drop and our 5-drop, we just take what we can get. These skeletons are not really that great. It would be awesome to have better skeletons. And that's not a bad one. All right, keep the life total a little bit lower. Try to keep him off the 27 mark. This is the hardest matchup for us because Chelisara and Hollow Priest get bigger than our skeletons. And if they can create a board state where they have enough life and a big enough dude, then it becomes a real problem. Keep this one. Do I play this out on green? Yes. Because we have the swamp. We need to find Snarl. Like, if we find Snarls, I want to have this in hand. So keep the swamp in hand. Okay, Gladewalker. I don't think they're going to be willing to trade off with this. They would be able to hit the skeleton. So swinging for 2. Down to 17. Back up to 18, past the turn. Lurking Roper. That actually is a really good play with this. Just having a 4/5, it's massive. Good stuff. Okay, Realmwalker. Man, more skeletons. We need that 5th land. Play out another skeleton. No attacks, past the turn. We have to find this 5th land quick before they gain tons of life or have really, really massive blockers. I mean, they already kind of do, but like, right now we have a really big board too, so we should be fine. Even if it's a land off the top, we can't play it, so we play 2 more skeletons, which is a massive board. If we find the swarming, we're good. We do have 6 tap lands in our deck currently. Okay, that's not a tap land. Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, Gladewalker. Where do you want to put this? Counter. Putting onto a Realmwalker makes the most sense just because we get to keep it alive for later anyway. Put onto a Realmwalker. Moss-Pit Skeleton. So we have plenty of decent blockers. We can chump with skeletons if we need to, whatever else. Issue here now is just how much life they are gaining. So yeah, no attacks. Make Skeletal Swarming even bigger attack. Up to 21. And hopefully I don't have any instant way to destroy enchantments. Green does have that at times. Not sure if they would. Luckily, they haven't found a ton of ways to actually gain life yet. Inscription of Abundance, okay. Counters onto it. Hits, gained a ton of life. Okay, land, swarming. We have to attack in with everything, so that's what we're gonna do. But we get to bring the life total really low. They do get to kill skeletons for free with this, but we get 2 more skeletons on the end there. Yeah, so I believe, yeah, they could have survived because, yeah, we didn't quite have enough. If they blocked with everything there, and they could have survived for another turn or 2, but only another turn or 2. So good stuff. All right, so there you guys have it with skeletons in Standard 2022, and I actually think that the Swarming Skeletons were pretty sweet. I actually really like these ones. Skeletal Swarming is a really, really powerful card. We probably needed more cards to be able to try to dig for it. I really like Realmwalker as a way to dig through our skeletons, dig through for lands, and we can hopefully then find the only other things that won't be on top, which is Skeletal Swarming or lands, or, you know, a couple of our other support cards. But in general, we get to dig a little bit deeper, and that actually worked out pretty well. I liked it. I think it was really good. Bloodline Pretender was a really powerful card with everything else as well. We didn't get to see the turns where it just goes crazy. People scooped up a little bit too early for that sometimes, or we would just kill them immediately. But I have seen this card just become a massive, massive threat where people are able to kind of maintain the board state. We aren't able to attack in with as much stuff or whatever, but it just gets really, really massive with all the other skeletons we have too. And so overall, I'm a huge fan of Skeletal Swarming in general. Just as I think Craterhoof Behemoth effect is a really, really good thing. Do we have good enough skeletons in the format? I think it's okay. I think actually I prefer Masked Vandal and Guardian Gladewalker over Masked Pit Skeleton, but having the recursion effect of being able to bring it back, like having more threats hit the battlefield, is actually pretty nice sometimes, especially if we're needing to chump block consistently. That's something we can do pretty consistently with this deck. And overall, it's fun. I enjoy it. I hope you guys enjoyed it too. If you did, leave a like and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks so much, and bye-bye.